Sam, my cohort, and we have two very good friends who, through the years, finally got hitched. And I know most people in Facebook land, as far as the Bigfoot, are going to know. We have Brian and Susan Bland on with us tonight, and we're really excited about that. So join us as we have some fun this evening.
Yeah, do you guys talk amongst yourselves for a few minutes?
Oh,
I'm gonna put this in the pork and beans show.
I could have announced the show with Fort Cunningham, and really,
I know.
Gave us some pizzazz, but yeah, it was a very nice introduction. And this is the first, and I'm actually quite envious because Sue won't come on my show, Pork and Beans show.
Well,
so,
she would come on if it was just me.
I can't say no.
yeah, they thought they were going to coerce me into coercing you.
It didn't take much.
They should have known better.
But it worked.
Yeah.
We did it.
I did not coerce her. I just straight out asked.
Exactly. And now I know how to get her on my show. I'll have you on as well.
Yep.
You can ask her to come and join you on my show.
With Matthew?
Sure. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Talk about nobody getting a word in edgewise. Sue and I would just talk among ourselves.
I don't talk to many people at all. I live here in this town and don't know anybody. I've been here for 2 years, and so I only talk to myself usually.
Who better?
Yeah.
Who better?
I know. My sisters were here, and one of them I hear from around the corner, Sue, are you talking to yourself? Yes. It's a habit.
Oh, goodness.
I've had group conversations with you on Facebook and completely ignored when you get on a subject.
Who gets ignored?
No matter what I said, I could have said anything and it wouldn't have been even looked at. Anyway.
Oh, well, we used to have those conversations on Facebook that would go on for hours and hours with Arla and you and Tom. Do you remember those days?
Do you remember? Yeah, remember when
just joking around for
ever and laughing and laughing and laughing and laughing. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Do you remember when this was years ago? I think we were up to like 750,000 or 800,000 comments or something, and we were looking for the million, but I think they quit keeping tally or something. I can't remember exactly, but
that was years ago. We were almost to a million conversations.
Yeah.
We're probably up to 2 million now.
Probably.
Oh man, we had some, and other people when we were in a group, everybody joined in, and then we would have our own chats that were just play off of each other, and
mostly pick on Todd there, mostly.
Yeah. Well,
he's easy to pick on.
Yeah, he makes it easy.
He just brings it on himself. That's
well, because I have that Canadian thing about me. We like to be made fun of.
We didn't make fun of you.
Oh no, we like to be kind of like
we probably did.
The brunt of the joke or whatever.
We did it because we loved you. Because we were making fun of you.
But it's perfect because I like that. I like the love and I like the making fun of part too.
Well, when it's done in love, it is fun. It is fun. And everything we did was done in love.
So what did you want to talk about tonight? About Sue and I, about how we came together, or we've never really discussed that.
That's actually something I would love to discuss.
Yep.
Wow, it's a mind bender.
Yeah.
Well, I think that Sue should first, because I kind of had my call to the woods in 2012 when the Sasquatch told me to go to the mountains. But I think Sue was maybe a year or few months prior
Yeah.
to me, and she had some things go on. So why don't you tell us what happened prior to us hooking up, sir, with you?
Well, I still, all these years later, haven't made sense of all that. I had a really, really strange experience during a really dark time where my mom was really, really injured from a stroke, and I was very upset and driving from Bend. Actually, she was in Bend, driving home a couple hours, and you know, I was just normal me, kind of just lived in this 3D world before this happened. But all of a sudden, driving at night, about 8 at night or so, everything was like Star Trek when the Enterprise takes off into supersonic speed and the stars go flying by. It was like exactly like that. Like something with me and everything around me wasn't in sync. Either I was going faster, or it was going faster, or something. But it really, besides just, it was just like watching Star Trek with the Enterprise taking off. It was just like that, and I couldn't. I lost my vision, and but I didn't lose my cognizance. I didn't lose what was happening. It was like, wow, I can't see now. This is interesting. And I thought I'm on this desolate highway, 97, right, Sam? Going south to Madras.
Yep.
This was out of Madras about 4 or 5 miles, where you're kind of going down a steep hill, and we're down to the little valley, Willowdale, I think, down there.
I think so.
I thought I got to stop the car. I'm going to go over the cliff or something. I don't know what just happened. So I did. I stopped the car, and luckily I heard the gravel. I felt the gravel, so I knew I was just on the shoulder. And from then on, for about, well, I gathered myself and I went, I don't know what the heck just happened. I do not know what happened, but I started for home again. As soon as I started going down a hill, I thought, I'm going too fast. I was going 20 miles an hour in a like 60, 65 mile an hour, straight line. And it's like, I'm going too fast. And the hill that was kind of like this, to me looked like this. Like I was just going to plow the front end of the car at the bottom if I didn't slow down more. So this whole way home was like that. Around the corners, I didn't think I was going to make the corner going 15 miles an hour, and down the hills, we're like, oh my God, I'm going to crash at the bottom. And it was just this really, really weird experience where I was kind of I was dislocated from whatever time and space is. I was just not with where I had been before that. And at last, all of that lasted for about 4 months. No kidding. But
Wow.
I figured out that it only happened if I was going over about 30 miles an hour. And it didn't happen if I wasn't driving. So I had to have my kids drive me around for a while and get shuttled because it was terrifying. It was super terrifying just to go into the Dalles from where I lived. During that time, during about that 4 months time, there was a spiritual awakening happening at the same time, where almost overnight, I just started researching Sasquatch. I just couldn't get enough of it. I couldn't get enough of being connected to the earth. I didn't quite understand what was happening. I didn't have anybody to talk to about it. It was just me going through this with this weird, where am I in time and space, and why am I so madly and passionately in love with our Earth Mother, and why do I want to go to those mountains that, as a crow flies, Mount Hood was only maybe, the foothills were maybe 30 miles as a crow flies. It took about 40 minutes to get there, but there was some winding roads. Why did I want to be there? Why do I have to go up there? It was just this big, it was really, really abrupt and really, really intense. And so that went on for probably a year or so. And I had to get up there into the mountains. I just had to do it. Unfortunately, when this all hit, it was like fall. And so the snow level was down, and I didn't know any of the roads that went up there. I knew one how to get up there, but the snow was down too far for me to get up there. So I kind of had to wait till spring before I could get up there in those mountain roads and go camping and stuff. But that's kind of how it all started. It was just a big weird whirlwind in my car, and then a time and space strange disjointed dysfunction thing, or maybe function. I don't know. But at the same time, I guess maybe something opened up where they reached in and I reached out, and divine timing just said, it's time to seriously take a look at what you're here for. So, and then I met Brian online after a while.
Well, hold on a second.
Huh?
Hold on a second. Don't I sound like this is the pork and bean show?
You barely talk.
Doing the interviewing here almost on. No, but I wanted to ask you one thing that was really important that you mentioned that happened. I think it was before you met me, and I found that was really profound. Is when you were out in nature somewhere and you saw a beautiful flower, and then you saw.
Yeah.
Tell us that. I think that's beautiful.
That was well into the journey. That was well into who I knew, who they were, and we had formed, a relationship with those guys up on Mount Hood. But yeah, I used to go running, and I would only run about 3 or 4. That's what I got to, 3 or 4 miles. I didn't never start out at 3 or 4 miles. I started out walking, but eventually I was running. But there was a hill at the end of my route past our house. It was just all desolate dirt road. And there was a really, really steep hill about 2 miles from there. So I always had to walk up. So there I was walking up the hill, and it was beautiful out. And of course, I was just really, really in the flow of the universe during this time. And just everything was magical. Everything was a message. Everything was a lesson. I was just really open, and all my senses were open. And I saw just a little desert wildflower blooming. I don't remember even what color it was, but it was just magnificent to me. And I stopped and I said, "Oh my goodness, you're just beautiful. You're so beautiful. So glad to see you blooming." And right after I said that, it's the only time I think I've had a plant talk to me or communicate with me, but a little scraggly weed right next to it was heartbroken that I hadn't noticed it.
Mm-hmm.
And I absolutely felt it. I felt that it was like, hey, we're all important, even me. Without me, probably there may not be this one, or there wouldn't be forage for these antelope and deer and stuff to be eating. And we all have our purpose, and it's not the outside that matters. There's a huge downloaded lesson, just like, oh, it got me crying, and I felt so bad. It's like, oh my God. So that was one of the most. There's been a lot of really amazing lessons and experiences, but that was a really, really one that I, ever since, I always fall back on that.
And you found a gold leaf.
Oh yeah.
I remember the gold leaf that you had found.
Yeah.
It was remarkable.
Yeah, it was. I was just sitting along a creek just by myself, and it was mid-morning, but it had been kind of drizzly, and I was just looking around, and all the drizzle was hanging from all the the leaves and the trees and all the sticks, and everything above me was like little diamonds. There was a little bit of sunlight coming through. It was just bouncing off these little water droplets on everything. And I was just, again, I was so open to just marvelous things I had never seen. They'd always been there, of course, but I'd never noticed them or seen them. And so I was just sitting on the log, just loving that. And I looked down at my hiking boot, and there was a little oak leaf about this big. I have pictures, but I'm not prepared with pictures or anything. And it was splattered with shimmering gold. It was just gorgeous. So, and it was on top of my hiking boot, where I'd been sitting, and there weren't any others around. I didn't move. I just looked at it and went, oh my goodness, how precious is that? So I don't think it just fell there. I think guys out in the woods kind of just put things here and there for you to notice when you're ready. But yeah, it was truly nothing that I could imagine. Gold dust? I don't know. It wasn't paint. It wasn't animal urine that was dry. It was shimmering, sparkling, like gold dust.
Yeah, it's like it had been dusted with fairy dust.
Yeah,
it was just sparkly, and
it wasn't completely covered.
Yeah, it
And
was
it
just
in
beautiful.
splatters on it. Yeah, so beautiful.
And that was on near Mount Hood?
Yeah, yeah, the east side of Mount Hood.
Okay. Where were you living then? You were living in the Dolls?
No, Grass Valley, which is
Oh, okay.
not 97, not 197. Madras or Maupin's on 197.
hmm
97 splits down there by out of well, out of Madras. It makes a
Yeah.
split.
Right.
Past Madras, yeah. And one goes to Maupin and the Dells, and 97 goes through Shaniko and then through the little wheat towns of Grass Valley and Morrow and Wasco and hits Biggs Junction down there on 84.
Yeah.
Darla's been there.
Yes, I have.
You lived
We
there.
did some premier camping and
Yeah.
hiking on
Oh,
the
yeah.
east side of Hood.
Yeah.
It was awesome. It's
Yeah,
beautiful in the snow.
It is beautiful, and it's not like the west side or maybe a little like the south side, but it's not like the west side at all. You know, nobody's ever there. It's just empty all the time. It's just vacant. You know, there are some beautiful trails, but they're not. It's just so far for people from Portland or the busy parts of Oregon to go all the way around the mountain to go hiking when they can just go from the west side.
Right.
And it's a different biome also. You know, it's drier. You can see a few more things. There's not the underbrush like there is on the west side. But, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't spent much time on that side.
Those were those early years, that's for sure. So,
how did you guys officially meet?
Officially, well, we started playing Scrabble together. Remember, I don't know if it's even still a game through Facebook, but there used to be an online Scrabble little app that went along with Facebook, I think, and we just struck up a conversation on that. And I think we both might have been in Tom Cantrell's group because I'd seen his name.
You were.
Yeah.
You were both in there.
I'd seen his name, and I think he did a request to play a game, and I think I ignored him a few times because I just, I was very, I don't think I even talked to men online or anything. I reached out to Tom. I do remember that. I think Tom was the first person I actually reached out to, and it's not a coincidence. It's just such a neat way that these things happen, but I think I was just Googling the word Bigfoot and his name and his website and his I think maybe one book he'd written, Ghost to Ruby Ridge or whatever was that one, but I think that was his latest. And it said author and experiencer. And so I think I emailed him just an email. This is before I was even in his group. And I just emailed him some questions. And it turns out, geez, what a long time friendship,
Yeah. And you were at the conference at Richland too, and so was Todd.
And we never even noticed each other. I don't remember me.
No, I was singing karaoke and you went to dinner you went to dinner apparently. Arla and I were singing karaoke well into the night. Apparently you went to dinner with your friend.
Yeah, I think when karaoke started, Joanna and I took off for dinner. But yeah, that was
funny.
I
sent you that Scrabble request, and I remember when we first started talking, I just felt compelled to talk to you and help you or whatever, because you were thinking kind of like you had a doomsday kind of like thing. You thought the worst case scenario was going to happen with the world. You were really down, and I remember telling you I thought it was going to be a conscious shift and a good thing or whatever. And I felt really like I felt an affinity with you right away, and I felt like I had to help you. And then we started getting a connection going. And
that must have been 2012. Wasn't that the year that the Mayan calendar was supposedly going to end, right?
Yep.
So I was kind of really concerned, yeah. But what you helped me with the most, Brian, in the beginning, just as a friend, was I'd had a really, really terrifying first experience all by myself. First time I ever camped by myself, and I wanted to be there so badly. And I was there all by myself and had a terrifying experience, and I had to overcome that. I had to overcome how frightening that was for me. And you really helped me a lot, Brian. You gave me a lot of support and encouragement, just go back in the daytime, take a small walk. that kind of a thing, because I wanted to go back, and I thank goodness I did, and I was camping again by myself, you know, after the summer was over, but it took me a few months really, because that's, you know, some of the things they can do are extremely just terrifying. You know, you don't expect it, or you think it's something else, and in retrospect you figure out it was them, just, you know, just seeing how you're going to react to it, or having fun or something.
Right.
But
can you tell us
That
about
that misunderstanding of not knowing what
not
you're
knowing.
experiencing, and you really hadn't had the chance to talk to a whole lot of people about that as far as a positive thing to do that. And you know, that's why I do what I do, is to try to help people like you who have that experience and they have no references for any of this. So you're like, what the heck? You know, this is not normal. Something's not right here.
Yeah.
And then, you know, and they started with you right off the bat.
Oh, boom. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I was waiting for that snow to melt off and thinking, I'm going to go I've got to go, I'm being called. I've got to go meet these people, you know, I've got to be there. They want me there. I want to be there. I'm so drawn. I'm so passionate about them, and had a wonderful little couple of hours before it got dark. And I was somewhere where I didn't even know how I'd gotten there. You know, I was on a forest road where I'd never been before, and pulled over to somebody's old little hunting spot, you know, because there was a 4x4 nailed to 2 trees, and, you know, for hanging a deer or something, and a little rock pit. But basically I didn't know where I was. I didn't know how to get out of there in the dark. But I had a wonderful couple of hours just talking to the bushes, and I just needed to vent what I'd been all winter, had just been, you know, so bottled up in me, and nobody to really talk to about it or anything. And yeah, so there I was with camping for the first time by myself, and I'd camped so much. You know, we always took the kids camping and horseback packing, and, you know, camped a lot, but never by myself. And that was a whole different thing. And it was kind of a synchronistic event, that how that happened. I hadn't planned on being by myself, but I kind of got in an argument with my ex-husband. And before I knew it, I said, I don't even want to go camping with you. And I took off by myself. And as I was driving down the road towards Mount Hood, I was like, what did I just do? I can't go back. You know, I just had a big fit and said, I'm going without you, and I don't want you here. And so I guess I'm going. And so there I was by myself somewhere I didn't know how to get out of, or anything. But set up the tent and had my little dinner and made my little fire, and then started to get dark, and I went into the tent and watched the stars till I fell asleep. And I felt good. It was just what I needed, just to be by myself, really. That was just meant to be. If it had just ended like that, I would have went home feeling very refreshed and good about it. But as it turned out, I woke up. I don't know what time it was, but there was some raindrops coming through the top of the tent because I hadn't put the rain fly on. But to be honest, it wasn't really the rain that drove me into the pickup. It was that feeling, that spooky feeling, you know, that feeling that something's not right. There's something not right. I'm a little nervous. So, but I kind of used the rain as the excuse, and I just ditched the tent and decided I would sleep it out in the front seat of the pickup. So I put this pickup seat back and fell back asleep again. And then I woke up. I woke up to this like buzzing vibration under my butt of the seat, like bzz, kind of in a pattern, bzz, you know, every so often. And I was like, what is that? And I'm bzz, buzz, buzz, buzz. And it turned in from buzzing under my seat to the footsteps. The ground was shaking. Like, instead of the buzzing, it just got louder and bigger. And then it was the truck. And the truck was boom, you know, the truck was moving with footsteps, and they were coming from behind the pickup. And that's when it dawned on me, oh my gosh, something's walking up to the pickup. But it wasn't really footsteps. It was, again, the only reference I have, or maybe from movies or something, but watching Jurassic Park, when those big dinosaurs step on the ground and everything vibrates around it with big, huge steps like that. I thought, this is exactly like in Jurassic Park. Oh my gosh. But I knew, no, there's a big forest person that's going to be walking right up to my window here. So I, boom, you know, I flew myself into the side of the pickup and just flattened. I can't believe how flat I could go. But I just flattened, and I thought, please, just keep going. Just walk by. Just walk by. Just,
Yeah.
I was terrified. And my heart, you know, I don't know. Well, I don't know if you guys, Arlie, you probably haven't, because, you know, you grew up with them. But if I don't know if you have, Sam, if you had your heart beating so hard that you thought, this is like in a cartoon when Bugs Bunny's heart is like moving his skin, is it going to explode out of my rib cage, you know?
Mhm.
And my heart was just doing that. It was so terrifying. And sure enough, he or she just, I think it was he, something very big, just walked right past the window, like, you know, inches from the window, and out the front of the pickup and through the woods and across the road. And, you know, and it slowly was softer and lighter until I didn't hear footsteps anymore. But I was so terrified that I couldn't like even turn on the truck to leave. I just stayed there. I stayed there until I heard birds and squirrels in the morning, and, you know, the sun came up, and packed up my stuff and went home. And I didn't tell anybody for a good week or so. You know, I just wanted to digest what had happened. I knew who it was. I didn't understand why it had to be terrifying like that. Tom said they were probably just testing my fear. And, you know, sure enough, yeah, it did test it, because I was nervous going back again. But that's, like I said, that's when Brian came into the picture a little while after that, and really gave me courage to go back and to like pursue it all. So I did.
And after we were talking and whatever, well, I think I was pretty much unlike anybody you'd ever met. Like, for a man or whatever, you didn't really understand. It's kind of like a foreign concept to you, you know, like somebody was actually interested in your mind or something, or, you know.
Interested in my mind.
Remember that?
Yeah.
And
yeah. Well, yeah, we will say you are one of a kind.
But but, you know, one night, you know, we found each other falling in love, of course, you know, and it's one of the classic Sasquatch connection stories in my opinion. But I mean, there's more at play than that. I mean, there's our higher selves, and there's guides and everybody doing it. But we had one dramatic night where we were hit up with, all of a sudden it was like, oh my God, like it felt like I got hit up with a zap, and it was like I knew that I would quit my job right on the spot, walk 300 miles to be with you and whatever, like through anything. It was just like the most intense knowing and whatever. And I remember it was so intense. Remember, if we ever got together, they'd have to get the jaws of life to separate us.
Yeah. Well, for me, I felt a big electrical current, and I knew it came from. I think we were typing to each other when this happened. I'm like, what the heck? And
we both said that.
Yeah, what the heck? And it felt just like a big electrical current from you to me. And we had no idea what like soul connections were or anything like that. You to me circulating, and it actually got me pissed off. I don't know why. I was like furious that what the heck? And I said, you better stay on your side of the border, you know. I think I was like scolding you about it. I was so upset, and I was shaking, and I felt this surge of electricity that really went from you to me in a big circle all of a sudden. And it was intense. I remember I walked out the front door. This was at night, and went walking up the road and sat on somebody's old tractor in a field, and just thought, what in the heck? You know, what in the heck? But, you know, I don't know if we can always pin all these mysterious, magical things on the Sasquatch people, because I think when you're in the flow of the universe, sometimes it's just the universe. You know, it doesn't necessarily mean that they waved their little hands and did something. But I think
No, I agree.
just supportive. They're supportive.
So we had a couple really couple amazing. Well, then after that, it was just like energy exchanging, like
Yeah.
all the time. I could feel you, and you said one time it felt like a kick in the stomach in the theater or whatever. It was so strong.
Oh yeah.
Like the energy between us was amazing. And,
Yeah. Yeah, I could feel something in my skin, like in my stomach, that was stretching out, you know.
Mhm.
And then,
tell us about that. I'm going to tell a couple of my experiences that we had, but do you remember when you said you were just sitting on the couch or something, and something came up to you and shook you and said,
Oh.
"Do you know who this is or whatever?"
Well,
that was dramatic.
Before that, though, we were both having different kinds of energy waves, and I still don't, I don't know where they came from. They were beautiful. Mine were different than yours. Mine started off as like big floating bubbles, and I'm telling you, I could feel them coming, and they weren't coming from didn't seem to be coming from within. You would think that they would be, but I could feel them coming from out there somewhere, and they were always in colors of like mauve and pink and lavender, and they would just float, these big like water balloony blobs of color, and they would float, and then they would like enter me and fill me up with just euphoria. And after that, as that feeling is happening, I would feel sparkles like Fourth of July. Sounds so unbelievable, but like sparkles that were along the perimeter of my whole body, my head, everything, and fizzily sparkles. And then they would.
The effect they have on the women.
The sparkles would subside, and then I would just kind of go with it. When I have it, it didn't make any sense when this would happen. It could be twice a day, once a day, once every 2 days, 3 times a day. I was at work, I'm driving the mail car, and I'm like, oh my gosh, here they come. And I don't see, I didn't see the color. I felt the colors, and I felt the shape, and I felt the feeling that this was. But it went on for weeks and weeks, and one day I decided that when this happened, I was going to sit down, and I was going to, instead of just going with it and, just accepting how it was, I was going to really think about it when it happened and really jot down, like journal, all the details I could remember. And so I think I was vacuuming, and it's like, oh, here they come. So I sat down on the couch waiting to like just be very studious about it and very scientific about it instead of just flowing with it.
Detective Kitty.
Yeah, Detective Kitty. So instead of them coming all the way and permeating in me and around me and everything, I had this, I guess it's called clairsentience, when there aren't words, and it's not words, it's not voices, it's not anything. It's just a transfer of information that it's from somebody. It's not just your thoughts. It's definitely from somebody. And as I was sitting there, this clairsentient communication said to me, "You have got to take this seriously between you and Brian. You are both ancient and have been together since the beginning of time, and you need to take this seriously." Like that. Kind of like a scolding, like, what? Like, seriously. And then there was still, a few more weeks, and that was still happening. But I was, there was somebody, I don't know if it was an angelic being or if it was my higher self or if it was a Sasquatch person. I don't know. Somebody that knew more than my third dimensional awareness.
Right. And when you get those messages too, like they're straightforward, but there's like a loving, it's almost like if your grandmother someone said it to you, it's not like but when you get it, you know it's serious and you take it serious.
Yeah, I did. I was very, very like humbled by that message. I wasn't afraid of,
right.
who it came from or anything. I wasn't afraid at all of it, but I was like, wow, this isn't what I expected. This is somebody telling me something pretty important, or what they think is important. And maybe it was my higher self. I really don't know. I don't know how we figure this stuff out. And
So what was the thing with the eyes in the mirror? That was cool. Remember that?
Is this a Susan Bland interview tonight?
Yeah, well, we've never like you're always kind of quiet, so we never really get to talk to you a lot. So yeah,
I'm not really a quiet person. Arla can attest to that. It's just that I'll tell you why. All right, I'll tell you why I don't really jump into a whole bunch of public conversations is because I'm really quite an observer. Like I learn a lot from observing other people's experiences. I love hearing everybody's. Like I tune into almost all the interviews, even if I don't write a little comment or anything. I'm usually listening, or I listen later if I'm at work or something. But I've kind of come to realize that there's not really a consistent micro reality. Like they're not.
Right.
There can be so, like this person's experience, truth, and belief is for them. You know, it's theirs. They can't say it's for everyone. You know, that they can't say the Sasquatch people always do this or always do that, or because they did this to me or with me, because they did this with me, they all do it. You know, they're so custom made. I don't know if they're manifested to be like that, or if they're just so supportive of our pure intents that we have that they deliver, or is it just the universe in general delivering? You know, I'm not sure about any of that, but I don't know. It seems like the things I have to offer are just really just my experiences. And
you got amazing experiences.
Yeah. I know.
What about the thing in the mirror? Tell us about.
Oh, that was your eyes. That was me walking by the mirror in the bathroom, and my peripheral vision. I went, whoa, that's Brian in my face. And it was your eyes. It was your eyes in my eyes. And while I'm looking at you, you're going, whoa, kind of like, oh no, she saw me. No kidding. Like that. And I backed up to see if it was still you, and it was my eyes then. Like you popped out or back. You popped back to where you were.
I think there were our higher selves and our ancient connection, all that kind of stuff was at play with us too. But the Sasquatch were definitely supportive of it because they've told me that you and I have work to do for them. They've actually told me directly through Mindspeak and stuff, and through so many glyphs over the years, like countless. And in the months leading up to our wedding and even afterwards, the glyphs and the confirmation and the joy and the celebration from them is just so amazing. It's just like, I mean, they're with us all the way through. These guys.
I wanted to say, don't you find that they're usually always supportive with everybody's journey?
Well, but they do bring people together that they want. I mean, they have a purpose for us.
Yeah, but have you ever heard of anybody saying, "Oh, Sasquatch don't like what I'm doing," or they told me they don't like me doing this? I don't. I have. Have you?
I have heard that.
But your own, or was it secondhand? Was it?
Well, they've never told me. I never do anything wrong, so I always like what I'm doing. Right, Mom? I'm just joking, but I wanted to go on some of our maybe, you guys can get into some other stuff you want to talk about, but just to quickly go into because we never really discussed this before, some of the things that I experienced with Sue. Well, the first time we met was dramatic. Remember when our eyes met? It was just like, you had to run upstairs. You were like weeping, right? And it was just like, it was a big download of information. Like as soon as our eyes met, I knew that I was an eternal being, that we had been together forever. It was just like, it was almost like, kind of like the love zap. There was a bunch of information with it too. Like it's just a big knowing. And it was really dramatic. I remember like we both like, even Tom said, I said, you notice that? And he said, how could I not? He was just sitting there.
I remember that might have been how you perceived it, but for me it was like, oh my God, this is a person that's my dearest friend from forever. Like, this is the one, this is the person that out of everyone I would choose to run into in this lifetime. This is him. Wow. It was like you were my pick of anybody throughout time that I've ever known. And it was a realization of that when it was just so fast. It was so fast and so deep. But we'd seen each other. We'd not personally, but we'd seen pictures and we'd talked before. But I guess that had to be a face-to-face thing or something. I don't know.
But when you're close like that, the energy is so much more strong, so much clearer when you are within each other's energy. You wouldn't have eyes at all. It would have all been the same because it was just that connection, that final physical connection of we're breathing each other's air here in this space together. And that sometimes brings a knowing, like when you meet somebody and you know them, you immediately know them. Well, yours went a little further. You guys had talked, all of the other things that you did, but that final coming together was so energetically charged that you just were given the truth of how it is for you. And Brian was given the truth of how it was for him. And those things together bring your truth together. Does that mean that you think exactly the same thing? No, it doesn't mean that at all. No. It's past thinking. You can't even describe actually with words how that connection feels. It gives you everything you need, and it gives him everything he needs. And that's that thing that says, oh yeah, it's exactly what you said. This is the person I choose to be with. This is my friend. And who better to be with than your best friend?
I remember
yeah.
I remember thinking, thanks, Rob. I remember thinking in a completely foreign thought that I had never ever considered before, but I remember thinking with Susan that I didn't feel, I only felt like I was half. Like I really literally felt like I wasn't whole without her. Like it felt like she was just, and it wasn't just words, it felt like energetically and in every way. And it just was something I never thought about before, or considered before without her. But I wanted to say one of the most amazing things, I've had a couple holographic visions. One was a Sasquatch movie, kind of real, playing in my room. But another one was about Susan and I. And I was sitting in, of all places, in the John of all places. And I'm just sitting there, and all of a sudden, do you remember the Michael Jackson holographic thing that he did after he passed, and they had his image on stage or whatever? Or Nat King Cole did it with Natalie Cole when they sang Unforgettable. You know what I mean? It was in color and it looked holographic basically, but right. Well, what I saw right in front of me, like, and this was as real as that, like looking at the Nat King Cole thing or whatever. Two classic twin flames pictures looking at each other, the classic man and the woman facing each other. And I instantly knew it was Susan and I. And there was a figure 8 going around us, swirling around us. And it kept getting closer and closer and closer and closer into us until it went, and until it became one with us. But that was dramatic.
Those visions right before your eyes are something else. That's for sure.
Yeah.
We're so amazing as humans. Like, what, what, I wish everybody could just be awake and have an awakening and realize that we're so much more, and there is so much more around us and within us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Going back
that,
to,
that's not even, go ahead, Sam.
Oh,
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, going back to Sue, just not really like talking a lot about your experiences. The thing is, like, somebody needs to hear your experiences because somebody can relate to it. Because also, like, when you got that the message that you got, I got one of those too after the first night of the conference in Enumclaw when we were there 2 years ago. I think it was that 2 years ago?
Yeah.
I was camping that first night, and Keith was trying to get me to go up and tell some of my encounters, and I wasn't ready to talk yet. And I was like, no, I'm not ready yet. I'm just not, because I was the same way as you. I was very observant. I liked listening to other people's stories and stuff. And I was camping by myself that night, and I was by the fire reading a book, and the voice said, "You need to start talking about this stuff." And I was like, okay, So ever since then, I have to force myself to do this because I still want to retreat, back in and just be quiet. But yeah, it's like I always go back to Arla and Alex's show and how important that was for me, like, listening to other people's stories. So
I always gave the Pork and Bean Show credit for your for your voice, but I'm sadly mistaken.
My voice, yes.
And it feels weird with where is Mr. Beans? Where is Mr. Beans? Is he here?
Right.
He's not here.
Say something.
Even I, as knowing about them my whole life, there was a time when I didn't know that that's what it was, that I was going to be sharing about them. But there was a decision I had to make. And basically, all I knew at that point, from what I had been told, was that there would be a door and it would be my choice to walk through it. But if I did, people would say, how can you work with that energy? And I had no idea what it was. But the night that door came, which I was in Oregon, and it opened up, and all I knew was I was supposed to go through the door. Now, I've asked myself in retrospect, would I have gone through that door if I had known it was going to take me where it was, where I had to speak about them and put myself out there? I've thought about that a lot. Would I have done that? Because that was not something I ever planned on doing, for my whole life. It wasn't even in my thought process. But then when I found out, and it was straight and to the point from Kashima, so, it's like everybody, I don't care who you are or how long you've been on a journey, you're still going to have things be in front of you that you have to really think about. And the more you grow, sometimes the harder it is, and making the decisions, to do what it is you do. The foremost important thing in my mind is to share what it is that's going on with you. If you are truly here to help, that helps so many people. It's just amazing the people that have the same experiences. when you think, I'm the only one that could be feeling this. What the heck's going on? I don't understand this. I don't know of anybody else. But then someone says something. You see it on Facebook, you see it on a podcast, whatever. But that helps. And I know that everything that you've gone through, Sue, helps somebody, not just you, which it's brought you to who you are, but it helps somebody else. And the same with Todd and with Sam. When you share, as hard as it is sometimes to share, it's such an important thing to do, always. And that doesn't mean you have to be in everybody's face saying, you know, I had this happen or I had that. You just use your guidance, that internal guidance that prompts you to say something, no matter where you're at or what you're doing, but to follow, because that's so important. I know for Sam, doing this podcast has helped him so much. It's been hard, but it's helped him so much. Yeah. And that's such an important thing.
Yeah, I feel comfortable talking, or more comfortable. Still not 100%, but I definitely feel more comfortable.
You're following in the footsteps of your icon, me.
I know.
Cunningham.
I am. I know. I just put you. I just made a shrine to you. It's on my puja table.
I said, how could I ever be like as glorious as Port Cunningham? And well, I mean, it's something to strive for.
It is. You know? I have a poster view on my ceiling above my bed.
I know. Instead of what's her name? Not Britney Spears. Who was the lady of your time?
My time was like Cindy Crawford, I guess.
Cindy Crawford. Yeah. I've replaced Cindy.
Yeah.
I'm up there now.
You have.
Eventually, I'll be a dartboard, though.
Yes.
When you find out the real truth.
Yeah. I can't even say what I'd think if I looked up from my bed on the ceiling and saw your face, Todd. I just don't know.
Oh, man.
You know, I've never had the problem with sharing it. It's getting me to stop talking and sharing it. It's a problem. I'm a natural at that. But,
you know, Sue, you've helped me because you know, I won't say the lake, the name, but you know that place. Like, so your experiences there helped validate what I experienced there, and we didn't know each other then.
Yeah.
And so that was cool.
Well, we didn't know each other, or we did?
At that time, we hadn't. When you told me a story that happened to you at this place, and I was like, we just went there like a month ago and had something happen.
Yeah, I had a heck of a doozy of a experience there. Everything was involved. A glyph was changed into something that I took a picture, you know, the trail to the lake. It's about a quarter of a mile trail from the trailhead, which is a little circle turnaround, and just a nice wooded forest trail to this kind of very secluded lake. And nobody was there. No cars were there. Nobody was there while I was at the lake that whole day, and no cars were there when I walked back to the trailhead. But on the way to the lake, I took a picture. There was a glyph in the trail, and I took a picture of it, and I said out loud, because I do talk to myself all the time. I said, with a little work, that could almost be a cabin glyph, because I was kind of into glyphs that kind of looked like little houses, little houses. Sometimes there's a little stick up by the point that kind of looks like a chimney. And on the way back, I'm walking along back. I'd forgotten all about that glyph that was there, and I'm like, oh, I think there's a glyph up ahead. And I went to take a picture of it. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a cabin glyph, awesome. And I took a picture, and then I went, oh my gosh, these are the same sticks. And I looked back in my camera, and they were the same sticks. So this kind of a hodgepodge glyph, and I had no idea what it meant. I just knew that it was out of place, and it was an intentional looking, you know, assortment of sticks. And so I took a picture of it. Definitely a cabin glyph, and it was the house with the chimney and the roof, and they were all the same sticks. I went back and forth from my picture to the glyph on the ground, and I'm like, oh, that's wonderful, wonderful.
And do you remember the most dramatic glyph experience that you and I shared when we were camping in behind the enclosure there where we had the gathering?
Yeah, that was something else, huh?
Yeah, so we're actually this is weird because Sue is like always follows the rules. I was surprised, but because we were camping there illegally actually, and then we found out what wasn't there people that came into the enclosure after we had already set up?
No,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
waited till dark so nobody would be there.
no, I think there were, but they came really late. Well, whatever. Anyway,
Oh,
we were back there, and we're sitting in front of our tent, and we didn't have a fire because you can't have a fire back there. And we're just sitting in front of the tent, and off to our left, Sue says, "Gee, I hear heavy breathing in the bush." Like it sounded like a big man, like
yeah.
breathing. And I don't hear that well, so I didn't hear anything. But then Sue said, "I think it's fortunate."
Yeah,
There was one of the clan members up here, and and it just came into her head that it was fortunate, which I trust her intuition, so I believe it was fortunate. And so we retired for the night, and then the very next day, and bear in mind that I was at this time I was a complete glyph hound. I still communicate with them through glyphs and look for glyphs all the time, but I was obsessed. And I scanned the area the night before, so this glyph was definitely not there. But so the next morning, right in front of our tent, there's a tree, and just peeking out a little bit from the tree is this glyph, and it's a perfect tent glyph, absolutely perfect. I mean, it looks like it was drawn like a drawing of it. It's so obvious. And I remember Sue saying, you had no doubt after seeing that. It was just so obvious, right? What we saw.
Yeah. Oh,
and what it depicted.
It was perfect.
And what it depicted is a tent. It had the welcome friendship packs that they always have on there. But basically, it had the complete outline of the tent, the floor of the tent. You even said, "Wow, they even know how to put a tent up because there were the tent pegs in the ground, right?"
Yeah.
And in the tent were two little sticks that represented you and me. And outside of the tent was a bigger stick in exactly the area where you heard fortunate breathing, right?
Yeah.
And so basically he just drew in a stick glyph, exactly what transpired and what what happened. That he was there listening, and that
it was so detailed because the two little sticks inside, they're on the same plane of the ground as the stick outside, so that's the ground, and the floor of the tent is there, and the sides go past the floor just a little bit, like they're in the ground, right? And it's all to scale, it's just amazing.
No, it's remarkable because even somebody who had never ever seen a glyph before, or even had any understanding of what they were, if I explained that story to them about, maybe I wouldn't. Well, I mean, I don't know how much detail I would go into it, but if I said that somebody drew this, they could see from looking at it that it was, two people in a tent and somebody watching them. It was just absolutely detailed.
That meaning was just, right in your face kind of a meaning, kind of like, this is what the observer saw, and he put himself in it too, instead of an energetic message or something that's kind of hidden in some way. It was not hidden at all. It was just, this was the scene, there's a picture of the scene.
No, there's absolutely no question about it. But they've done so many wonderful things for us, like those SBs in the sand, the 7 or 8 of them leading right up to where we had been the year prior. Remember? Just that was an amazing day. But Arla was talking about sharing or whatever, and for me, it's hard for some people to share, I suppose, but because the things we're talking about are so fantastic and out there or whatever. But I mean, for me, I just have to say it as it is, because I'm not going to pull any punches. I have to represent, my words have to represent them in a true manner. And if it sounds far out there and far-fetched or way out there, that's fine, because I still have to share it truthfully, right? So
yeah,
because I don't have a reputation to lose anyway, so. Right? So,
no, but it's important. It's important to speak their truth.
And without half measures, speak it totally. Like
exactly.
like some people, like some people will say, well, you can come on the show, but I don't want you talking about this or that, or,
Right.
and, okay, well, I'm not coming on.
Yeah.
Because, if I can't talk about the truth, I'm not going to tell you half the truth. And, it's not right. So. Anyway.
Yeah. And a lot of these things are really hard to prove or whatever, because they're personal, they're very personal. They're tailored, like what Sue was talking about earlier.
But they're tailored so perfectly, and they're so obvious to the people that they're for, that it's just like a hammer over the head. There's no guesswork involved.
Right.
It's just like they really get the message home.
Right. And to us individually, like they mean so much to us. And when we tell those stories and express to people, some people get it and some people don't, but it's the people that do get it that is why it's important to talk about it.
Yeah.
Or even if you just plant a seed there of thought with someone who doesn't get it, because there are a whole lot of people that you talk to that don't get it, but at some point they get it. Because I don't know how many people come back to me that I talked to years ago, and that no way, couldn't happen, not gonna happen, and now it's it's this totally different thing. So everything you say that's tailored for you, because this is a personal thing.
Oh, yeah.
This is not a journey of everybody learning exactly the same thing. Like Sue said, this is a personal journey to help each person with their growth. And at that end point, we find out we've learned about ourselves more than we'll ever learn about them. Some will learn a lot about them, but at that same token, they learn a heck of a lot more about themselves. But that's been my thing since the beginning. I didn't know any better than just to I just came into the Bigfoot research world and said, well, yeah, they disappear and all this other stuff, and so, but it really didn't matter, because my primary thing was to help other people, and it's the same for you guys too. What you do is to help people by sharing what it is that happens with you, and then you help people like you did taught with Sue make sense just by letting them talk about what's going on, how is this affecting you, and being there for people who need to express those things because they didn't understand what was going on.
It's amazing how they connect people. I was just in the woods the other day. Like, I'm constantly being drawn to people, and if I start talking about them to these people, I just know the people to talk to. I get this incredible approval energy, like, yes, and I got that with this young guy the other day. He was just coming out as I was going in, and I actually said, well, send me a friend request on Facebook and we can start talking. So all connections all the time.
Yeah, and
you have connections out there that you don't know. You have either people that hear you that you may never know what a connection has been formed because of your sharing.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and the things that they've taught, well, like for me, my personal story, I think a lot of people think when you say you have a teacher or whatever, that they assume that means that they're going to teach you about them. And in my case, it has been, I think it was more of like a thing where it's like, you want a teacher, you want to learn about us. You don't even know yourself, man. You don't even know who you are. And it's just been a nonstop lesson. And then when I met V, or when we had that introduction, it was like, it just blew the doors open of anything I thought I knew about reality. And I was like, oh, to the point where like the main reason I want to help people do this is so that they can find out about themselves. it's not so much, I mean, I want to speak the truth of the Sasquatch, obviously, but it's more like how thankful and grateful I am for them and what they've shown me. I want other people to experience that. I want everyone to experience that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Arla, did you hear I got a new
I did. Doesn't surprise me.
little bud?
Yeah, doesn't surprise me.
yeah. Let's talk about this.
No, he gave me the final. I mean, like, you know how I've always said with the glyphs, like, and I've proven it. It's no question, you know, for me anyway. I don't know how it works with anyone else, although I suspect if they approach it like I do, it would work for them that way. But it's an agreement between me and them what they mean. And so the open triangle, I had it in the back of my mind for years that it was little bud. And then I just finally said, okay, it is you. And all of a sudden, like 5 minutes later, I got this major big open triangle thing that he left for me. And then, you know, like, and then it's on. And he's constantly messaging me. And now I'm finding, instead of welcome friendship from the clan of RE, it's welcome friendship from Bud. And so yesterday he left me a big confirmation message that he's the guy. He's now in charge of whatever reeling me in or whatever he's doing with me.
He had to wait till his feet got bigger.
But
be able to feel those shoes.
As I was looking at the glyph, I heard him walking behind me too and stuff. And today I felt them too. I'm feeling them more and more like, yeah, big time.
Yeah. Yeah. And that helps you to be in a space to where it's almost like a one-on-one thing. It's a brother thing. It's not an RE thing. It's more of a brother teaching a brother. And that's a very special place to be with them, as a brother teaching a brother. And I'm sure he learns things from you too, not things that he would need to live with, but, you know, learns a little more about the truth of who you are from your eyes, not from his, but from yours.
You know, it's funny because I was hiking with a friend of mine just a couple of weeks ago, and I always knew that there was a classic rock throwing contest I had with Bud a few years ago, and you know, the first day I got the best of him. We had a little mini contest. Next day, he just absolutely, you know, schooled me. And it was also one of those days where this went on for about 10 minutes, and then all of a sudden it stopped. And of course, 15 minutes later, some people came down from the mountain trail. The 15-minute rule that they always showed Randy Brisson and I. They're interacting with us, whooping, hooting, whatever they're doing. But as soon as somebody comes into a certain range, they stop. And every time, you know, you see somebody coming like clockwork. But anyway, so I was with this friend of mine. I said, let's ask Bud. I knew anyway, but I said, let's ask Bud to confirm if it was him that I had the rock throwing contest with. And you know how it is, Arlen, when you're with other people who are really connected in, the energy and everything, it's like multiplied, probably more than twice, but it's multiplied when you're around other people like that. And I said, give it to us in our own unique way. And so this guy, he kind of had a mental picture of Bud smiling and laughing and saying yes. And I got a complete body rush, like really dramatic, like a big affirmative. So yeah, Bud's really stepping up, and I guess I suppose you kind of be like, oh my God, this is sacrilege. Your guy.
You talking about Indigo?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, yeah, Indigo. I have learned more from Indigo. And it's kind of funny too, like Bud with you, these were like kids, you know, that you interact with. And with Indigo, he just started something again with me, and I put, I think I put the photos up in Pork and Beans group, where he has systematically changed this one particular glyph. It's only like 7 foot from my front door. So, and it's definite changes, but it's about the subtlety of the energies and things that are going on and being aware. And he and I went through that years ago when he did that whole thing for, oh gosh, nearly a month of changing a glyph, but doing it in such a subtle way that if I hadn't taken photos and then put the photos side by side, I may have missed a lot of those. But it goes back to that learning of be aware, even of the subtle things. Sometimes those things are the most subtle, are the most powerful, and it gets you to the point of always being open, always being in that space to see what it is you need to see. And, you know, it's like with Indigo and Matthew now, they swap off. If Matthew's going to be gone, Matthew will say, okay, you take care of her, I'm going to be gone. And then when Matthew gets back, they have this discourse of, okay, I'm here now, you know, you can do, you know, whatever it is you need to do. So he's definitely, the relationship has changed as he's gotten older too. And I'm sure, and it's the same with Bud, as he's gotten older, you know, he's stepping up, which is really cool because you guys have a fun relationship.
Yeah. And, you know, I had a lady in there the other day, my actually roommate. She lives in the basement suite downstairs. She's a disabled lady. And every time we talk about, she's very, very connected. Every time we talk about our and whatever, we feel this beautiful butterfly-y kind of thing on our face, and then this loving thing across our chest, and it's just so dramatic. And I knew that he really wants to help her.
Yeah.
And I've taken her in a couple times. Once when I had the second time when I had the gathering with, or was part of the gathering, the RE gathering, and he literally got her walking. She's a disabled lady who literally has to go from her front door to the sidewalk to have a cigarette. She was walking over logs. She was chasing a bear away from the camp. He literally, she was in tears. He literally said he's making my legs move. So the dramatic stuff, and she was telling me all kinds of stuff. She was connecting with him or whatever, and everything rang true because I know their personalities through the energy so much. But the funny thing is that at the end of it, and it was Bud, as we're pulling away the first time we went there, all of a sudden she starts bursting into tears, and I say, "What's wrong?" And she says, "He's waving at me," and it was Bud. And he was waving, and I've got it on video. It's very like it's hard not to get.
Well, that's Bud.
And she said he's waving at me, and then she looked away, and she said, and I looked back, and he was still waving at me and smiling. Oh, and smiling, she said, and smiling, waving at her and smiling, and he was still waving at her and smiling. And I just thought, yeah, that's Bud.
Yep, that would be Bud.
Yeah, that's a good video. What is the name of that video again? Do you remember?
I don't know. I made it.
I can't remember. Yeah,
it's something about Mary anyway. It's called.
Yeah, I'm gonna link it to the group.
It's a great video.
It's a great video. I watched it at work, and I work in a shop with a bunch of dudes, you know. And I was wearing safety glasses because I was like working on a car, and I was watching the video, and I had to stop and like I had to like pull my eyes open to suck the tears back in because I was like trying not to cry in front of everybody, you know. Yeah.
Literally, she was telling me things about all of them. Like I just knew it was them because their personality, and I could feel the energy. Their personality was so strong in what she was saying.
Yeah.
And so she's talking with RE, and he said, talking about me, and he says I'm like a brother energy and more, and then all of a sudden he says, "Shut up."
Yeah.
He told her to shut up. Don't tell him. He's like, not ready or whatever, not now or whatever. That was just like, I just knew that was RE. I could just tell by the exact way she said it. It was like RE was telling her, like, no.
Yeah, it's a good video.
And then Raj, the way she was, she was saying that I have to quiet my mind to connect with them, like through mind speak more. Whatever. It was just like, which I'm learning to do. So, I mean, their personalities were just so amazing. And that video is really worth watching. People should watch it.
Yeah, because she said Raj's name, right? Didn't she? Or something close to it?
She did, and she didn't know it. She actually said it, and she said she has 2 children, and she just had one. So
that's cool. That's really
a little boy. I think. Was it a little boy? I think it was. Anyway. But yeah, just absolutely incredible.
Excuse me. All right, so when are you guys gonna get a place together? Brian, when's the border gonna open up, man?
Yeah, that would help. But I mean, well, I guess we've got to go through that email thing, soon, and figure out those.
Yeah, we're going through the sponsorship process. There were a whole bunch of documents we had to accumulate and turn into this immigration firm, and we're just to the point now where they went through them all and they said, okay, now add a little more of this, like correspondence documents, or you need to do this, you need to have these reference letters notarized now, because we didn't have them notarized yet until they approved them. So now it's time to do that. And so I would guess probably in a couple weeks, maybe they'll submit the application, and then it takes a few months to be approved. And if we're approved, then I guess it's a green light to move. But it could take up to a year still. It may not be till next spring, really, realistically. Just
are you allowed to go over?
No. I could, since I'm actually married to him now, I could, but there's a 2-week quarantine. And they do call. I just talked to somebody that had 2 phone calls the 2 weeks that he was quarantining, but because of work, I can't take 2 weeks off anyway.
Yeah.
And what would be the point of going up there and just sitting in a house? It'd be awful. I'd probably be hiking around, or at least sitting by the lake or something.
I don't even think you stay at my house. I think you have to stay in some stupid quarantine place.
I think that's if you fly in, maybe for 3 days. If you fly in, I think you have to. I'm not sure. It's just not a doable thing. I'm not willing to stay put for 2 weeks.
I heard that some people were just walking away from them. I don't know what the consequences were, but
yeah, I don't know. So we're just gonna keep doing what we're doing and be patient and not fight it, and just let it happen how it's supposed to happen. It will.
Yep. That was an exciting part of the show.
I'm sure people have asked, or maybe they didn't ask a question, but they were wondering, why aren't they together? Well, that kind of cleared it up right there.
Yeah. Hey, at least it's not the other way around. I also talked to somebody, and his wife is Canadian, and she wants to immigrate here, and they're kind of in the same thing with us with the sponsorship program, and it takes 2 years for them to come down here. So quoted 7 to 10 months to get this done, to immigrate to Canada, but we're like twice as long to get in here. If you do it legally, if you don't, just come on in.
Yeah, I want you guys to hurry up and get it going, so then you guys can sponsor me and my family, and then we can move over there.
We'll adopt you, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
We'll adopt you. You can be my son.
Oh.
Well,
that's good. Sam Bland.
I'm hoping to have one heck of a great camping party or something when this all blows over, and everybody's safe and healthy and able to resume jumping borders and visiting each other, and we're gonna have one heck of a shindig. It's been pretty miserable for a couple of years.
Well, you haven't even been up here yet, Sam. I mean, it is.
I know.
I mean, honestly, every time that I've been a part of one of these gatherings, it's. I've always said that, like, I'm not really hosting it. It's the clan up here that hosts it, and literally, I mean, I always think, geez, I hope you guys come through for me or whatever. But without exception, it seems like every person that goes there, they do something personal and really dramatic for them. I mean, like, like this one guy just had this Joe fellow. I've had him on the show, the Pork and Beans Show, starring Port Cunningham and Frank Oliver Beans. Check it out on your YouTube channel. Anyway, but they gave him his first mind speak. They were actually leading him around to do things, and he's very intelligent and observant. He could tell how they were working with him, whatever. And I was telling him things that they do, and then they started doing them. He was doubting that they made a structure, right? And so the next day, they made 3 or 4 major changes, and I saw that, and I said, "Okay, hey Joe, go check it out. Here's your answer." And wow, it was just incredible. And now the guy's, his heart and everything has been changed, like totally, like a different person, dramatic. So,
yeah, your
you
camp
get up
house
here.
remind me a lot of our camp house in Georgia. Just the level of interaction and what seems to happen. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to getting up there.
This camp out, I mean, I don't know what goes on in Georgia, but this camp out is not as much about seeing them and that kind of stuff. It's more about teaching and connecting with somebody in the way that they need to be connected with. And I've never been to the Georgia one, but that's what this one's like. I mean, we do see them occasionally. Like, I think Sue had a sighting up here last time she was here, and Barb Shoop had a couple dramatic, but they're basically a teaching clan.
Right. Yeah. Kind of the same. We do get some physical interactions. we do get some things like that sometimes, but yeah, for the most part, it is like teaching, or everybody has their own individual experiences for the most part.
Yeah, very much so. And I think a lot of that is because it's the people that come. The people that come bring their energy, which is so conducive to this, that when everybody gets together, then it's about learning something. And, sometimes you have to go home and realize, oh my gosh, but yeah, it's very much about teaching too. It's not, oh boy, I saw one, or, whatever. So it'll be interesting when I get to have a gathering here in Oklahoma because the last really gathering that I had was when Richard Taylor Stewart got to see the whole family. So, and then, other people that have come have had, experiences, but I've never really had a gathering like I did that one, which really wasn't about them at all. It was about something else. But then you know how that goes. It's kind of like it's their thing that they're gonna do. And it's, not my place to do anything. So yeah, it is about teaching, and hopefully next year I'll be able to have a gathering.
It's funny, everybody who seems to go to those things, they're invited by the Sasquatch themselves. Somehow they connect them with me or with you or with somebody who asks them to come along. But it's always, you always find out, oh, I was just thinking about Sasquatch, or I've been interested in this, or they're ready for some kind of heart opening or something. It's just that they connect the people in that they want to attend these gatherings that are important to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not ours. We're just the ones that facilitate the people having a place to come to. You know, it's not about, okay, I've got this all planned and this all planned and this all planned. The only thing I can plan is a time and a place. And everything else is totally up to them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm doing it again September 19th to 27th. But whether the border's open or not, they might. They might. Things are looking a little better. You never know.
I hope so, man. I haven't even been to my cabin in 4 years.
Hey, well, I'll tell you what, Sam, if they do open, you can make it in September. You can come on up.
Yeah. Oh, I will. I'll push my way through. Maybe they'll close the border while I'm there, and I won't be able to come back. We'll just have to.
That would be perfect, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, because I really, man, I haven't been to like last year I was going to go to the cabin and I was so excited about it. And we had like the whole family planned it out, my dad and my mom and everybody. We were all going to go, big trip. And then COVID happened and I was like, crap. So now we're hoping maybe we can get up there this year.
Where is it, Sam? Where's your cabin?
It's in Ontario.
Oh, okay.
So it's a bit of we got to fly there. I mean, it's not like a driving thing, but.
Sam.
Yo.
I'm closer than Ontario. And I guarantee you come out here, you can experience magic. So
yes,
come out here first.
I have a few questions that I want to ask at the cabin, and I want to be there. I have specific things that I need to work through there. So
okay,
but yeah, I'm coming to your place too. I'm gonna sit down with Bud, and we're gonna gossip about you.
Oh boy.
Oh, did you hear? Oh, this is funny too. This is Arlo will get a kick out of this. So little Bud at the camp out, a couple people seen him in my truck, playing around in my truck, turning lights on and off. Right? Of course, as soon as they got up there, he completely disappeared. But I retired to bed early one night. And I don't know if it was, I like to think maybe it was Bud trying to, because I don't think they wanted me disturbed because I only went to bed early one night of the 5 or whatever. I was just tired. And the other 2 guys that were with me, they were the only 2 left of the 9 or 10 that we had. Decided, let's go check on them, get them up and get them to join us. And they're walking towards the truck and Mark, he hears like a big whistle or whatever, and behind him, and they're right there or whatever. And then all of a sudden, Joe, the guy who had his big like awakening or whatever, or that's kind of a cliche, right? I don't like to say awakening, but he got his eyes open big time. He's headed towards my truck, and all of a sudden he's walking, and all of a sudden, boom! He walked into a brick wall. Mm-hmm. Bud was right there, like he walked right into Bud, cloaked. And of course, that was not by accident. I'd like to think he was trying to stop him from waking me up, but who knows? But whatever, Bud's a comic, right? Imagine that.
That's cool.
Imagine walking right into a cloaked Sasquatch and just like hitting a brick wall. I mean, how? And I must say that. Sorry, Joe, but it's already been on the program anyway. He had a little deposit in his pants too. Literally.
Well, it's understandable. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, man, I hope to make it up there. And I hope you guys, when Arla can have her get together, I hope you guys can make it down there. Have you guys ever been to the South? No?
I've been there.
You haven't?
Maryland. We used to go every summer to Maryland. That's kind of the South, but not the South.
Indiana, and I've been a few places. Yeah. I found the Kentucky people kind of interesting, a little different for me.
Yeah, a little different, but fun. Fun, good food, man.
Fun,
Yeah.
I know, but it was almost like, well, whatever. No insult, but it was almost like the Beverly Hillbillies. Like I really met them in
yeah,
real life. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
but even more backwoods than you, Marla. I'm saying that in a wonderful.
Kentucky, Eastern Kentucky. So I loved it up there. I had spent a lot of time in the Daniel Boone Forest and some of the other places, saw a lot of stuff up there. So, but yeah, well, there are people here that are like that too. I mean, pretty laid back about how they do things, but still yet very protective of their way of life. So
I shouldn't say that though. I mean, they're all good people, but we have newfies up here. They're kind of there are kind of oddballs.
Oh yeah, we have our fair share of them here in Oregon too.
Like newfies are like they're from another planet.
Yeah.
Well, actually, we all are. So, at some point,
Yep.
so we're all kind of newbies. I just wonder what planet it was for some of us. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you ever go eat at Brother John's? Is that still there?
Brother John's. I don't know. I don't know.
Brother John's.
Brother John's.
Oh, you don't know? You don't know all the great restaurants in Bend?
Well, I don't know what's open anymore.
Where'd it go?
Uh-oh. Am I off?
Well, that's true. Yeah, maybe it's not. Are the breweries all open?
I don't know what's open. I haven't really been out.
Didn't you say everything was open now, sir?
What's that?
Well, in Washington they are. I'm not sure about Oregon.
Oh.
Yeah, Oregon's open back up now.
I said in Washington everything's open again. I'm not sure about. Oh, good.
It is here too.
Yeah.
Here too, restrictions and stuff on them.
Well, we lost Sam. Well,
we did lose him. We were getting ready to. Anyway, so, but everything's pretty much open now. I think we're like at somewhere around 120 cases a day average over a week. So it's still, it's still here. But everything is looking like it's just going to continue to open, and people just be careful and be mindful of what you do. And
yeah, I know I wash my hands every time I come in the house.
Yeah. Just be careful. We've never really thought about having to do that.
Yeah.
We've never been in the space to have to think about that for us and for everybody else too. So it's been interesting.
You switched places.
He did.
He's down there. Do the Brady Bunch thing.
My internet's been acting up for the past few minutes, so I had to go check on something.
So what's your favorite Sasquatch experience, Sue?
Oh, too many. I have a good one that may be helpful for somebody or anybody that's listening that sometimes could possibly get discouraged because activity slows down or something. That was happening to me a couple years ago, and I was just kind of sad. I was in a new place and just kind of felt a lot of quietness from them, more than had been before. And I sometimes will have Sasquatch dreams that are, if anybody has them, they're not, I mean, they're more than a dream. And I was having one. I was in the woods and totally remember every detail, just like it was so real. It was night, I was in the woods, it was me and a few Sasquatch people kind of in a group, and one of them was speaking, and he said, "You don't have to worry, we are always with you. We will always be with you." And he said, "And so that you know this, we're going to wake you up and you'll remember everything I just said." And mind you, this wasn't a dream. It was me there. And boom, I'm wide awake, as if I'd never been asleep for so many hours that I was, remembering every detail, everything. And I sat up in bed, wide awake, full of energy, and said, "You guys did it." Yeah, okay. You know, it was very calming and good for me, because they are with us. And it may be behind the scenes, it may not be right here and now in this third dimension, but
yeah.
One of the best gifts I ever seen them give you is when you, well, one of the best gifts I've seen is when you moved into your place that you're in now. Remember that little grass doll guy thing that you found right on your floor of the kitchen, right? And it was still wet, right? Tell us about that.
Yeah, you and I were hauling boxes in, or was it just me? No, we both were. We were hauling boxes in, nothing was unpacked yet. And we had most of them just here, you know, in clumps. This goes in this area and those boxes go in that area. And right in front of my sink on the floor, I hadn't even put stuff away yet out of boxes, was a little woven grass little figure. It's a little human figure. It's a little head and little arms twisted and little feet coming out twisted. And it was all wet, like it.
Just the other day.
You know, that's the thing too. When we have those times where there doesn't seem to be a lot of interaction, just that confirmation of knowing that they're still there. You know, they haven't gone anywhere just because they're not leaving glyphs, or you're not hearing them, or you're not feeling them, or whatever. They haven't gone anywhere. They're still around. And, you know, I kind of always go back to what my grandmother said. You know, there are neighbors, and sometimes, you know, they have stuff to do, and we have stuff to do. And so sometimes you interact with your neighbors, and sometimes you don't. But the truth, even further than that, is if you need them, you can talk to them, and they will honor that, whether it's in a dream, in mind speak, or a glyph, or any other kind of communication. They will let you know if you're open and aware to receive that. They'll let you know that they're around. And no, it may not be like a constant thing going on. It may just be that subtle thing that says, "Hey, I'm here."
I find with myself, it's usually something that is really a deep longing, deep, not just you know, it'd be fun to see ya, you know, it'd be fun to do this or whatever. It's more of that. It's really, it's a heartfelt longing for something. You know, my neck. Probably about a year ago, my neck was hurting so badly. I kind of did some weird injury years ago to it, and slowly over time, it's been back to normal. But that day, it's like, oh, I had it on a pillow weird or something, and it's all back again. And it was a burning, shooting up the side of back of my head, you know, just horrible. And I was trying to get to sleep, and I couldn't get comfortable, and it was just throbbing, burning, pounding, and it was that same again. And I was literally in tears in bed, you know, just by myself. And just, I didn't plan to ask them. It just came out of just such a heart longing to help me. And as soon as I asked, I kid you not, boom, it was gone. And I had tried everything. I had my sides, different pillows, rubbing it, everything, nothing. And just out of
pure intention of your heart.
Yeah, pure intention of my heart. And I don't usually ask much of people or them ever. You know, I'm kind of stubborn in my ways. I'll struggle through stuff before I ever ask for help. But I found myself asking for help without pre-planning that at all. You know, I didn't plan it. I just was like, please, can you please make this pain go away? Please. And it was just gone. Never didn't come back. You know, it wasn't temporary.
Yeah.
But, yeah, a lot of that deep down heart stuff is the connection. You know, it's the. I think sometimes we kind of have our vibration or our own frequency rises and falls a little. You know, I don't think it's ever just on the same plane. And I don't know, maybe that has something to do with it sometimes when you feel like they're a little more distant. Maybe, well, like they told me in that kind of dream I had, they're always with me. But maybe sometimes I'm dipping a little, you know, or distracted.
Or you're learning something else. You know, you're learning in a different way. And, you know, they are not the only ones that bring things to us, but once you form that connection with them, you do long for that, like you do anybody that you really care for. You long to see that person, whether you see them or whether you feel them. It's, you know, it's just
there are friends. There are friends.
Yeah, they are.
They are friends, not just here, but somewhere else. You know.
Yeah.
Other places.
They are long-standing family, and you know, so, and family encompasses a lot. So they are. And when we don't have connection with family, that's hard.
You know, one thing I've noticed, and everything is well, I've said they personalize everybody's journey to their well, they personalize them to how they best work with them. You know, myself included, but I think oh, I forgot my point. Sorry, just went right away. No, carry on. Say something. It'll come to me. Sorry about that.
Well, I was going to say, there's also times when I feel like we're so trapped or caught up in our human roles or 3D world, you know, reality, physical reality stuff, that when they do reach out to us, we don't even notice it really, because, you know, it's subtle most of the time. It's very subtle. And then there's times where, like, when I would go to their areas to try and connect with them, and then like I wouldn't get anything, you know, I just didn't feel them around, and it would go on for like a couple days or something, and I'd be like, oh, they must, either they don't want to talk to me or they're just not here. And then I'd go back to my truck, and as soon as I get to my truck, you just hear like that wood knock or something, just like they just let you know, like, yeah, we're still here, you know, and you're like, well, what the heck? And then I think about the times where they would come to my house in the middle of the night, 2 or 3 in the morning, and they would tap on the window or break a tree branch in the backyard. And I would wake up and be like, I don't feel like coming outside right now, you know, and I just want to go back to sleep. And then I like have to think about, sometimes they just don't want, it's not like that they don't want to, but maybe they're tired or they're doing their own thing, you know, so they can't always drop what they're doing, you know, to cater to our neediness, you know, so.
And that's a learning too, about doing for yourself, because they very much teach us that, how to care for ourselves and to do the things that we know to do to help ourselves, but don't do them, you know.
I remembered my point now.
Whatever reason.
I remembered my point, and that's why I interrupt all the time on the Pork and Bean Show, because if I don't remember what I'm talking about.
All right.
But one of the things that I found, like I said, it's all personal, but with me, and this is very dramatic, I found that the quiet times, I've had quite a few of them. And at first I went through what everyone else does. Don't you like me anymore? What did I do wrong? The first couple times, what's, like you feel a big, huge loss. And then eventually I found that every time I came out of one of those and the activity started again, I seemed to have a higher understanding or a bigger knowing.
Yeah.
And so I always, I've come to understand that these quiet times are a simulation periods because you're learning an awful lot of stuff they're teaching you. A lot of it is like even in your dream time or like at night where they're taking you someplace or something. It's a lot to assimilate. And every time I come out of one, I've had a bigger knowing. And this last time it was just like, boom, just dramatic. So it's that's how it is with me. So the quiet times are actually a gift because you're learning, you're catching up with what you've learned, kind of thing.
Yeah, I know personally whenever V has given me a teaching, it is a zip drive of information, and it's taken me the first time I swear I still learned stuff from that first meeting. It's just like, yeah, the assimilation time is definitely.
I thought that was remarkable what you said when you first met your teacher. And you said that when you were getting all that download of information, it felt like you were seeing the pages of a book, like really, really like super fast. That's pretty dramatic.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like a what do they call it? Crap, I can't remember what it's called now. But yeah, it was like a flip book. It was
Right.
It was like have you guys ever seen the movie Short Circuit? Where it's like a robot and he kind of comes to life, but when he reads a book, he's like, he just like flips through the pages.
Right,
That's
right,
what
right.
it was like. It was like books. It was like, read this one, read this one, and it was like, but it was a second long. I mean, that's how fast it came, and it was just like, but I could see everything, just like it was projected on the back of my eyelids, just like.
Oh wow!
And I was like, oh, that was a little bit.
Whose alarm's going off?
I don't know. Not me.
Oh.
I'm not answering.
Turn it off.
My friend Mark.
Oh. But yeah, when she did that, like that was crazy, and I'm still unpacking that.
Can you recall everything? Like,
no, because at the time I was like, oh, that was like a book, but it was like, it was a subconscious reprogramming, is what it was, basically. It was like a software update, but just like my whole motherboard was, cleaned out and then like defragged. And
I went through a spell of about a few months where I would feel like tick tick ticking inside, in kind of like in Morse code. But I got the distinct impression when this would start, it would go on for hours sometimes. It felt like when you see old pictures of circuit boards with little lights that blink, and tick, 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 like little circuits blinking, and I would feel it. I would feel it in my body doing this. And it would just start up and go, and be like, well, that's strange. Something's happening in my body. What is it? I don't know if anybody else has ever experienced that.
Like a healing, did it feel like?
No,
or was it?
No, it was like there was adjustments. It was like
I've experienced that when I've had sessions with people. Like I could feel like them doing stuff.
Oh really? Well, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, like when I had it with Christine or whatever, I could feel her. Like I could feel like all kinds of things, like little.
I don't know.
Things and different feelings. And when I did it with this other lady recently, it was like really dramatic. It almost felt like it was an acid trip. It was so dramatic.
This would go on. This literally went on for months. I used to talk to Tom about it. I'm like, it's doing it again. Tick 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 tick.
What did you get?
Maybe
we always thought
before.
Somebody was tinkering with your DNA or changing something or something. Didn't you know what we thought?
There's something. Yeah, it made me feel like I was not at all in control of whatever. There was some entity, something was working on me. Something was changing something. I'm not sure what. I don't feel changed, but you know how that stuff happens. It comes out when you least expect it.
Well, now that we have Arla on the spot, I will ask her opinion of what happened, what's going on there.
Yeah, maybe Arla, maybe you know. Have you heard of anybody having that happen in their body before? That feeling of, definitely, it was this twitching in sequences.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I think I was talking to Sam, what was it, a couple of weeks ago. I had some things go on at night. I still have things like that in my body, things that are changed. And the interesting thing is, out of third dimension, our DNA is changing and is being helped to make there's going to have to be modifications. And I know, because she even told me years ago when we were talking, he was telling me some things about the Lemurians, because I didn't really know anything about them. And he said at that point, during that time, a long time ago, on Lemuria, that they were the ones who were in charge of the DNA restructuring, and that as we go from 3D to 4D, we will have actually physical feelings of being changed, or DNA changing. And if after it happens, if you notice different sensations, maybe just when you drive by something, maybe an energy power plant, and you feel a little different, or if you're in a group where you have a lot of people who are very high vibration, you will feel things in your body, almost like they're moving around. Things are moving. And usually when it happens to me, it's like my whole body's vibrating. Mm-hmm. And I don't sleep. I can't sleep during the time that that's happening. If anybody knows me, knows I sleep. I have no problem sleeping. But when that's happening, I cannot at all sleep.
It's very distracting.
Yes, it is.
Very distracting. Yeah. I learned, since it went on and on for weeks and weeks, I learned to just kind of live with it, but it was still, it was always going for hours at a time. Yeah.
But you've had, since your beginning of really opening up, you've had a lot of restructuring and changing, and energetically things happening with you and around you. And I think part of that is because you were going to learn a whole bunch in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
And so when that happens, you definitely have to have that fine tuning. Mm-hmm. And, one of the things I was taught about the Star Nation people they are part of the ones who help to monitor, what's going on with us, because it's not going to be the easiest thing for our physical bodies to go through from 3D to 4D and then on to 5D. So, and there are people who are waffling from 4D back to 3D to 4D to 3D. And those are the ones who are having more what I call adjustments as far as vibration is concerned.
How many people do you think, percentage wise, are going through the transition from 3 to 4D? Right now?
Man, I can't even. I couldn't even take a guess at that. I know there's a lot. I also know that there are some that are not going to be able to do it for whatever reason, going from 3D to 4D, and because you can make a conscious decision not to do it. If you can't not make peace, but become comfortable with these changes that are going on in your body, then you can stop it. You don't have to go to 4D. I mean, you know, it's your soul's choice, and then your physical body comes into it. And something else that I believe that some of those people who want to go to 4D but have other issues end up with some type of illness that takes them on. And then at that point, I mean, 4D is a piece of cake. So
is 4D just an energy conscious shift? And I mean, or how do you, what are we going to be in a different place? What's going to happen to the people who stay in 3D?
You're still going to be here. You're not going to, like, we've got this mass group of people that aren't there anymore. No, what we're doing is we're not only going into 4D, but we're not really calling, but allowing 4D to be here in this life, because you know our souls have something to learn in this lifetime, and we can bring that 4D into this as well. So, and I think that a lot of that, a lot of the people I know are doing both. You're in the 3D and you get glimpses and feelings and times of being in the 4D, and then you come back to the 3D, but you're changed. There's something different about you. Even though you are in this 3D existence, you are still bringing a lot of that 4D existence back into this, and people notice that. You know, there are people that I meet that I go, wow, you're already in the 4D, or you know. So
yeah,
I think that's
I remember
that's interesting.
I remember quite a few years ago when I first started really experiencing this, having the feeling of being in two places at the same time, like I was here and there, like in different dimensions. Is what I was feeling like. It felt like, yeah. You know, one interesting thing, you know, was that speaks of, you know, whoever is assisting us, helping us, and changing our DNA and tinkering with us to bring us to where we need to be, is about 2 years before Sue and I met in about 2010. We figured out that it was going on at right about the same time. We kept waking up from sleeping with our spouses at the time. We were both married at the time to different people, not each other, and kept finding little smears or droplets of blood in our bed, and could never find any reason for it. Never a cut, never a nosebleed. None of our spouses never could figure out what it was, but it went on for quite a while. And then, you know, when Sue and I started talking and sharing everything intimately, you know, because we're you know, so close, we found out, you know, when you have over 1 million conversations, eventually everything comes up, and we found out that that we had that same experience at the same time. So something was preparing us for personally, and also preparing us for probably being together and whatever too. So.
Well, the thing with relationships now is those who are looking for that higher vibrational relationship, that the soul is not happy in what has always been the standard relationship. It is calling for that higher vibration relationship that doesn't make your looks or your sexual life or any of those other things, even those, you know, those can be important to a couple. Those are not the things that a person that is looking for that higher vibrational relationship is looking for. Like Sue said, you know, when she saw you, this is my friend. This is somebody I want to be with. This is the person. And that's what happens when our soul starts to look for that higher vibrational relationship, is that there's more there than what we've always known as a true loving relationship. You know, we want more.
Well, because those things you just mentioned, they are nothing to do with love. You know,
No,
they're biology.
nothing at all.
They're just biology. And
Yep.
so, yeah, so I feel like connecting with Source or the Sasquatch people opening, you know, my chakras up so that I could connect with Source, it lets you find out what unconditional love is.
Yes. Yeah.
Not conditional love.
Yeah.
Not sexual patterns. Not things that you blame somebody else for that is your own desire. You know.
Yeah.
It's love is so deep. Honest Source love, unconditional love. It goes beyond. It's just kind of unexplainable, but I just know how I feel about Brian is love that's all the loves I've ever known. It's relationship love and parental love. It's sibling love. It's friendship love.
Yeah, it is. It's everything. And sometimes you got to be the parent, and then sometimes you got to sometimes you got to be the kid. You know, sometimes it's that being everything, that everything that we encompass is in that relationship. That just totally is the perfection of that higher vibration relationship.
Well, I think the thing that was so dramatic for Sue, and I'm not giving myself any credit other than the fact that we were meant to be together, is that she you know, she's very, like, she doesn't share a lot. She's very inward, and so she doesn't talk to a lot of people and keeps a lot of things to herself. I think I was the only person that she met that she'd say, well, I can talk to this guy about anything, and she didn't feel uncomfortable about it. And it was just like,
I remember her saying that to me, that she could tell you anything or say anything, because, you know, we talked some when you guys first started scrabbling and stuff, and you know, it was pretty cool, and it was pretty evident there was something more going on than just that, oh wow, he's kind of cute.
And I remember, I remember, Arla, when you were telling or trying to, well, you don't really convince people. You might give suggestions because, you know, you're all about free will and whatever. But I remember when Sue was coming up here, you told her, and I remember Sue said, you have to go up there to see for yourself or something. You're going to find out or something. And I knew that you knew something, but yeah.
You know, the one thing that I told Sue from the very beginning was never do anything that disrespects yourself. If you don't disrespect yourself, then whatever you do is what you need to do. And she's the only one that can define what it is that would disrespect her. It wouldn't be anything I could tell her, don't do this, because, you know, it may be disrespectful in my mind. But then, you know, even all of these wonderful higher vibration relationships, you know, everybody makes their own way now and figures out, you know, what it is. And when it encompasses all the love of friend and, you know, and brother and father and, you know, child and everything else, that's the completeness of it.
It is, because excuse me, it makes like my reactions are different. I'm not the same person I was before I met Brian. I don't have the same I don't have the same standard of what love is, and my reactions are so much different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Much more different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tolerant, compassionate.
Yeah.
That's a big you know, it was a learning curve, but it was a learning, you know, apparently that's where I was supposed to go. That's where I was supposed to head.
I know what my favorite experience, well, I don't like to, excuse me.
I just had
when I say favorite, I got a frog in my throat.
Just add that too.
When I say favorite experience, I don't want. It's kind of hard to say favorite experience, but with Arla, but probably meeting Ari would be right up there.
That was fun.
Yeah, but we've gone through that so many times.
Yeah.
What was your favorite experience with Arla, Sue, or vice versa?
Oh, well, we got to live together for, I don't know, 3 months or so, 3.5 months. And so we had a lot of fun experiences. I think, I don't know, I'm just forever grateful I didn't even know you. And I
didn't know you either, but there I loaded up what I could in my car and come halfway across the United States to live with you.
Yeah, we had an empty upstairs to our house because the kids were in college and gone, or maybe even out of college. I think they were out of college. Yeah, so we had
making that decision, and it flowed into how it was that I was even going to be there. It just kind of boom, boom, boom. Oh, okay. So, and that was a huge learning lesson for me to leave everything and only load up my vehicle with what I could get in it and Watto and
your puppy dog.
Yeah, and then come out there and
I think we had so many fun times, but the one that sticks in my mind just at this moment right now is we were following some little game trail. It wasn't a hiking trail. There aren't that many up on the east side of Mount Hood that are actual hiking trails, but this was just a game trail, and you were saying what footprints look like, and do you remember that? And I'm ahead of you, and you were kind of veering over here, and you were looking at some stuff that was stacked up, and I said, "You mean like this?" And I pointed down to where there was this massive footprint, heel toes, all of it, big indents in it. And it was right in front of where we were heading.
That was when we had the horses and we had ridden up the road, and I saw what looked like a structure. And so we went back to there later to hike into there.
Yeah.
And I told you, I said, you go ahead, and because I was just looking and everything. And then we were just talking and looking at different things, and then talked about a footprint, and then you were like, oh, like this. And it was a big one too. So I actually have that photo of that.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
You and I aren't little feet people either. And
no,
that little boot in that picture is pretty little.
Yeah, that one, I've been blessed with feet, so that's pretty good.
As I always say, I'd rather have good stout feet than something too little that I could tip over on.
Yeah, well, and that's my grandfather always told me, your feet aren't big, you just got a good foundation, the wind won't blow you over. Okay, I like that. and I know what it feels like, when someone looks at your big feet and they go, whoa. And then, I like to look at big feet too. And it's kind of funny, I know how big my foot is. And if my foot's by a footprint and it's bigger than my foot, that's a big foot.
Yeah, that was a big foot. That was a big one. And I found one, I think it was after you'd left, in a different, same part of the woods, but maybe a couple miles, and even a rougher little game trail. This was just really, really a rough little one. Same foot. It's the same foot. Exactly.
It's just too cool. We had some good times. We really did.
We know that Sasquatch are matchmakers, and Sue and I are a perfect example. Sam, do you figure that the Sasquatch people connected you with your lovely wife? And Arla, how about yourself?
With Matthew, there's no doubt after the first glyph they gave him.
Okay, you tell us about that, how they played matchmaker with you.
Well, I mean, when you first meet somebody, and we really hadn't met, we were just talking, pulling punches either. I just pretty much say who I am and what I am, and this is what I do. But after we had been together for a little while and we had talked a lot of things had happened, and Matthew's very, very, very open. He was standing on the porch the other night and said, Arla, is this fairies out here lighting up? and it was fairies lighting up. And so he's very open to all of this. And we were in the fifth wheel, and the glyph was on his side of where he slept in the fifth wheel. And I come by and I noticed it and I went, whoa. So I went and got him and I said, come back out here and look at this glyph. And he came back out and he looked at it, and it had an F and A. Now Matthew's name is Matthew Twilley. So where did the F come from? Matthew was adopted. His biological name started with an F. Now, who would know that? Not many people knew that. They did. And they put that glyph right under where he slept. When he saw it, he was like, oh, they know me. They know who I am. And so it's I think that they had a big part in this with Matthew. I mean, it's me, and Matthew loves me, and from the beginning, regardless of how I am and all the things that I believe. I mean, he can match me for everything. And there he was, just out there driving a truck, and here I was in Oklahoma. So yeah, it's they help you be what you need to be, and that's where I needed to be.
How did you initially meet?
Actually, I was a dispatcher for the company. He was a truck driver. I didn't dispatch him, but one of my drivers brought him in on just a conversation. I met him that way, just talking. And then we started talking, and we talked and we talked and we talked and we talked for several months. And neither one of us had any interest in any kind of a relationship other than to be good friends. And we became really, really good friends and knew a whole lot about each other.
Was the friendship based on Sasquatch, or was it based on just two people had a lot in common?
Yeah, just us. Yeah. It was based on us. And he was the culmination of something that started for me in 2015. Actually, it started before then, but in 2015, some things were done, and that was the beginning. I didn't know it was going to take that long for it to come through, but it was good. And like I said, he's open to pretty much everything, and it's just cool. I don't want to say everything about him and his beliefs and stuff. I believe there's going to be a time and a place where he can speak for himself. I know he's very good and compassionate with people who need somebody to talk to. He's really good with that. So,
do you think with the vision that RE gave you, is that related to Matthew?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, I got a really beautiful big glow and energy.
Yeah.
Well, that's beautiful.
It was in the works. it was in the works, even at that time. So,
You know, I mean, you've got such a beautiful connection with so many different Sasquatch people, but it really, it really does bring me to tears. The relationship and the interaction you and RV had, it was so special,
yeah,
so cheeky and so special, and it was just like, oh my God.
Yeah, because we're both kind of cheeky, and we had each other's number from the beginning, so neither one was going to get anything over.
No, I mean, like I think it was initially he asked you, why do you ask me a question you already know the answer to, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Then you got him back and asked him the same
yes,
thing.
I did. When he asked me something, I said the same thing back to him.
And of course, what was really comical about it is because at this time, it takes time for you to see them. That's just how it happens. It's just when it happens, or even like when you're developing your gifts or whatever. Like I was talking to somebody today and whatever, and verified what Sue has always said, that it just happens when it's time. Nobody can really open you up to them. But you can have a teacher that can introduce you and make, but it still has to be the time when when it's time, it's time.
Yeah. Yep, it is. And we just have to be okay, Sam, fess up.
I don't know, because I met Kristen before. Well, I had my first experiences when I was younger, like a kid, but I met Kristen before it started back up for me. But I know that they really like Kristen, and they interact with her a lot, but she's not 100% yet on opening up to them fully, because she's still a little bit weary of seeing one because she doesn't want to be scared. But she I told Ollie about this the other night. They actually came to her in a dream a couple of nights ago, and that's the first time that's happened. And it was a group of them, and it's a long story, and I don't know if she's really picked up on the significance of it, because she remembered it like crystal clear. She told me all the details and each individual one that she saw, and they expressed some things to her, and so I'm kind of interested to see where this is going. But no, but the first time I saw Kristen, like, I'll never forget that. Like, if you guys ever seen the movie Wayne's World?
Yeah.
The Dreamweaver scene.
The one kid.
The Dreamweaver scene where he sees like the girl and she's on stage, and it like got like, when I walked into the bar with my friends and I saw her and she was standing there, and it was like that. There was like this like golden aura around her, and everything else was black and white and got slow motion, but she was just there, and I was like, who is that? And it was like, never had that happen before. So I know that there was it was definitely more than like a biological connection. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we've she's been with me the whole time since this started back up with me, and going into like spiritual awakening, Kundalini awakening, questioning my own sanity during this process. She was always with me. Her parents are very spiritual people, so, and and it's funny because we've moved a bunch, and when we moved in this house, I unpacked a box that for some reason I'd never really looked at, all the books in this box, and I was like, what is this book? And she was like, oh, I read that a few years ago, and it's like all this spiritual stuff. And I was like, it's like she was preparing for something, and so she's prepared. We're just waiting to see what's going to happen. So I'm very interested to see what's going to happen with this dream she had the other night.
It's amazing. It's so amazing to have your partner be in this with you, and understand. I mean, she may not be totally on board, Sam, but she does. She's
she's still got the fear.
Basically.
Yeah, she's still got the fear thing that she's got to work through.
But she supports you and understands.
Right, and that was part of, actually, the fear thing was part of the dream the other night.
I was just going to say that can be a way to like, if she knows them through dream time first.
That was the main thing of the dream, was she saw one, and she remembers specifically thinking that how she felt was the main emphasis of it. She was like, I did not think I was going to feel like that. She wasn't scared at all. She was actually more just in awe of it. And you know, I'm not really going to go into like the dream, but it was cool, and that was the main takeaway for her, was she wasn't scared at all, and that's what she took away from it. So I'm hoping that she'll carry that into a physical encounter, because I mean, you guys know, it's not, it can be a little bit, and they can be a little intimidating, but it's not, it's just so like, wow, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I just hope that I feel like that's what she'll, when she sees one finally, she's going to experience that. So we'll
And
see.
it's very possible she saw the one she's gonna see.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna hold off, but I think I'm very curious to see where this is gonna go, because
yeah.
but we'll see, because we're going out next weekend actually for 4 days. So
fun.
Yeah, I'm in the woods every single day. I'm really expecting one day. It just feels like one day soon, like Bud or somebody's just going to walk right out, right out in the open. I can just kind of feel it.
Yeah.
And Bud would be the kind of guy to do it too.
You know what, Brian? You know, you were just out there the other day, and you came to a fork in the road, and there was a big old black bear sitting down on in the trail, right in front of you. Basically, you intended to go right, and he was to the left, but he was just sitting in the middle of the trail. You didn't panic, you didn't freak out, you know. You said you just talked to him. Hey, big guy.
Yeah.
Most people probably would have just turned around and vamoosed out of there, you know.
No, the road went this way, and there was a turn this way, and he was 50 yards or something up there. I just talked to him, said, "Oh, how you doing?"
What bear is sitting on its butt in the middle of a trail looking at somebody walking up?
Yeah, he just sat there, and then he just went about his business, grazing and eating his grass, and then he went off into the bush. Hey, look, at camp we had Barney the bear, was like right up on the picnic table, like he was like within 6-8 feet of us a few times.
I'm just saying, I think you've come a long way to just be really calm about things that probably I wouldn't have been that calm to walk upon a bear sitting down in the middle of the trail looking at me.
Well, they don't really want any trouble. I mean,
no, but yeah, I don't think you have any fear.
No, I had no fear whatsoever.
He just walks out to meet you, or for you to meet them. I don't think you're going to have any fear or trouble.
You know, it's funny. You were talking about being healed your pain or whatever, Sue. I had a dramatic thing. I asked them, this was some months back, when all the, when that election nonsense and all the fear of, the COVID thing, and just all the division of people, and just all the insanity, and I was kind of buying into that fear and whatever, and just really, really not in my high vibrational place I want to be. And I just went off into the woods one night, and I said, "You guys got to help me and take this away." And it was just like that. And ever since then, I've never really, they just took the fear away, like instantly. Like it was just like dramatic, because fear is the enemy, right? That's how we're controlled, with fear. So yeah. That's what Sasquatch people have always told me. And it's just amazing how that happened, like what a gift. Like it was just right instantaneous. I just didn't care about it anymore, because when you're on that high vibration, like when you none of that stuff really matters. It can't hit you, it can't affect you. And so they put me back where I needed to be, just like a light switch. I've never really been in fear since.
Yeah, I going back when you asked earlier if they've ever gotten like my heart beat up, or one night when I was it's happened to me a couple of times. I think it's just my body's natural, or our body's natural reaction, to certain these things. The first time I ever went to Broken Arrow with Jeff, that night, we were sleeping. I don't know if you guys have been to Broken Arrow lately, but it's overgrown a lot. Like the trees in the area have grown up really big, where everybody used to camp. So there's not really a lot of room for tents anymore. So we have to sleep in our cars when we get there, kind of. So anyways, like that night, I was sleeping in the back of my 4Runner. I had the windows down, and you know where the gifting stump is?
Yeah.
I was parked kind of close to that, and one, like I got settled in my sleeping bag and I was going to sleep, and one walked up from the gifting stump area and walked up next to mine.
The one on the edge, that's right at the edge of the drop off. Okay.
Yeah. He like walked up from that around through the gravel and then came up to my car and just stopped next to my car. And that happened. My heart was like, whoa, and I could hear it in my ears, you know, it was like that whoa, whoa. And I remember trying to calm myself down, and I fell asleep, and I woke up like a couple hours later, and my whole truck was like, you know, like buzzing, humming, and fell asleep again, woke up again, it was doing it again. And then I woke up again, and it was like the whole night went through. It just went so fast. Every time I woke up, I'd fall back asleep. And the next thing I knew, the sun was coming up, and he was walking, or he or she was walking away, and I could hear them walk away. So they sat next to my truck the whole night. And that, not that next day, but like the day after, it was like this fear download came in, and it was like this lesson on fear. And I had to sit with it for a while because it was a lot of information. And I think that was part of it. It was like, because I was kind of nervous when they first walked up to the truck. And it was almost like I don't know if they were going to show themselves to me, and I was kind of nervous, so they didn't. But it was like this lesson of, you know, you need to work with this fear thing. And so, but yeah, since that was another thing that happened to kind of get me to work through my fear. So I don't feel that anymore.
Yeah, with me, it was a process. The first couple of experiences where they were very close and the energy was very, very strong, and I was very awake. The heart thing would go, and slowly over time, over experiences where I knew they were out there. Sometimes just playing, you know, running around playing. There's no heart, you know, heart pounding anymore. Yeah, it's been a long time since I felt that heart pounding, but it's something that was, sometimes like, I can't stop this.
Right. Stop. Yeah, because I've had several times where things will happen and I'm like excited. I'm not scared at all. But for some reason, that moment just got me. I don't know. I think something about the ones around Mount Hood. I don't know if they're bigger or if they just got a lot more energy, but they can really get you going. Because
yeah.
What do you mean by that? Get you going?
I've been to Broken Arrow 3 times now, and there's just times where the energy there just is real strong.
It's just the energy of the place is amazing on its own.
Right.
And that feeling their energy and that energy when they come up is a lot of energy.
Yeah, it makes the air crackle almost. Yeah.
Well, I know when Tom had his healing up there, and I was in the tent with him. When I was awake for a couple hours listening to the whole thing going on, but I know there was a presence. He says there was somebody behind him, and he was on one side, and he had a big Coleman, like a 3 bubble kind of a big, you know, it's like an 11-man tent or something. I was on one side and he was on the other. He said somebody was right behind him, but somebody was right next to me also. And he was big. He was tall, very tall. It was way above the tent height of the ceiling. You know, I knew exactly there's somebody really huge there. And I remember my heart started doing that, and I was like, stop that. You don't need to do this anymore. You know, be with it. Just observe it and be with it and experience it, and don't be afraid. You know, just one of those big guys. However, I had no idea what they were doing at the time. I didn't know until in the morning when I asked Tom.
Yeah.
What you know, his end of it, what his perception of it was. I never knew until that morning what was going on. I just heard it and knew something electrical. It sounded like a bunch of elephants bugling together, but with an electrical sound to it also. was happening, and it was going through the tent somehow. Sorry, I have a plugged up nose.
I've heard a crackly energy sound right by my ear when they were standing right beside me before, and I just got the, like, woo, like, you know, like it, feeling of somebody beside me, then like some kind of.
This sounded like high voltage. If you've ever heard a commercial or something for a power company, and they do that, you know, that noise, that high voltage noise. It sounded like that, but in many in harmony, like a lot of different tones all at once doing that. Yeah. That's why I say it was kind of reminding me of an elephant bugle, how they're kind of, you know.
Sue's had a few sightings up in my area. And one of the most interesting ones was, remember that one where you saw out of the corner of your eye, it looked like you saw something moving between two stumps really fast, and you saw an energy trail of it? Or how do you describe that?
It didn't look like I saw something moving fast. I did see something brown and hunched over moving really fast. I jumped straight up in the air, and then I went running up to the tree where it had stopped. But the neat thing so the person went boom, like just to the side of me, maybe 5 feet to the side of me from one tree to another. And but behind him was these gray silvery lines, like 5-7 of them, that were slower. They were slower to catch up to him. So, you know, he went to the tree, and they stepped in behind him. Yeah, in a straight fizzy line, kind of, you know, like a smoke trail or an energy trail, which was neat. And then I trotted up to the tree, like, I saw you. Of course, you know, poof.
Right.
Yeah. Do you remember the time?
This guy wasn't very big. He was not very big, even though he was hunched down. He was like smaller than you and I. He was
probably Bud.
It might have been. Yeah, it might have been.
Probably Bud. You're always doing stuff like that.
I caught it to begin with in the peripheral of my vision, because it was started right to the side, and so I caught it there. And as he ran, then I tracked him, you know, with the fronts of my eyes, of course, you know. But that's kind of, what do they say about the cones and rods? Is it the cones in the peripheral of our eyes?
Right.
I can't remember.
There's things about the cones and rods, and I think I think Joe Hauser did a really good talk on this one time at a conference. I learned a lot about that. But you know the old saying, out of the corner of my eye, I saw, you know, because that's the closest out of this dimension that is on our body.
That's what was happening the day I had that crackling by my ear. I kept seeing something out of the corner of my eye and getting that, ooh, what's that? You know, well, not that scared, it's just that startled, you know, like something, boom. And then, so, yeah, that's definitely a thing.
So, okay, we are 35 minutes over our 2 hours, which I definitely expected.
Yeah.
I remember Brian, me saying, I think their shows are pretty short, like an hour and a half. He's like, oh no, let me look. And he goes, oh no, the last one was 2 hours. And I said, probably not an hour.
Yeah, we try to keep it at 2 hours, but tonight I knew we'd go over some. So
it was kind of like a little family reunion with you guys.
Yeah, it's awesome. You know, everybody being together and seeing the culmination of the Blands.
The Blands, yeah.
Coming together.
Yeah.
And having you on the show, that's just awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys.
Thanks so much.
And
on behalf of Port Killingham, that's not. Did you notice that during the show I was interviewing everybody? Like, I just can't get out of the.
It's just your natural.
Because my questions are so like.
You were interviewing.
So fascinating that I just whatever.
Oh yeah.
You're just a ham. You're not pork. You're ham.
Yeah. He is definitely a ham. A ham with a tot side. So
yeah.
Ham and
but
tots.
yeah, thank you guys for coming on.
Yeah.
And we really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was fun.
How about we get you guys on our show?
Yeah.
And bring Sue on. Then you can bring Sue on and we can go over some of this stuff again.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I've been doing. I've been stealing all your guests. You notice? A few
We
times.
share.
Well,
friends till we share.
they have good stuff to say. So it doesn't matter, you know, if you get it out, that message out there twice, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, love you guys. I'm going to sign off. I'm going to
Love you too.
click out.
Love
of
you
here.
too.
Yeah.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Love you guys.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for
Bye.
having me.
Bye.
Now, everybody remember, we won't be on next Thursday. We're only on the first and third Thursday of every month.
Yeah.
So we're glad you came, and Sam, in a couple of days, will get the YouTube channel up for you to be able to listen and share it around.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank
Good
you,
night.
guys. Bye.
Good night.